You are about to start your very first D&D session, and you want to make sure that your campaign is captivating, that your players are engrossed. But how do you do that? How do you, as a dungeon master, make sure that your players are even having fun? And how do you do it if you're brand new? So don't worry, today I'm going to give you 5 super insightful tips to make sure that your opening session is a memorable experience that will leave your players eager for more. Stay tuned. So first of all, the first thing you want to do is set the tone for your campaign, right? This is absolutely crucial. You want to let your players know if you're going to be journeying with them through a lighthearted escapade or if it's going to be a gripping, dark, and gritty saga. Your opening session needs to reflect this. So consider the themes that your campaign is going to be going over. Use elements like music, lighting, or other sensory details like that to establish the right atmosphere. Even if your game is online, you can do this with tools like Discord. You can use Kenku FM if you want to run Spotify or other things like that into your Discord channel. Roll20 has built-in audio tools as well. You can download MP3s that are the right atmosphere, that are the right fit for your game, and upload them to Roll20 and play them off of there if that's what you want to do. I'm sure there's many other ways that you can do it. If your sessions are in person, then it's much easier, right? You can dim the lights, change the light bulb color, add some music on your television or whatever. Adding those sensory details are 100% going to help enhance the immersion that your players are feeling, and it's going to make them feel like they're part of the world that you've created. On top of that, going back to those themes, if you're going to be doing a dark and gritty campaign, then you want to make sure that the themes that you're talking about are matching those tones. For example, some of the themes that you can touch on are past deaths or end of the world, right? This is Dungeons and Dragons after all. You want to touch on maybe fear. That's a big theme that a lot of players will feel. Every character is going to have a fear of something, and if you can pull on that, those are themes that you can build on and themes of helping that character overcome that fear, which then sets the road for that player's arc. The second thing you want to make sure that you're doing is introducing the world. You want to use your first session as sort of the golden opportunity to showcase the world to your players and the world that they're going to navigate. So paint a vivid picture of the world's history. It's okay to have your opening session be a little bit of a monologue, right? Go into the history, the geography, the politics, the culture, and you can use the session to introduce NPCs. If your players have backstories that work with NPCs, then tie them together. For example, maybe one of the backstories of your characters is that they've worked in a tavern for the last 10 years in your city. Well, then throw some NPCs that they might already know, talk to them before the session, and tell them a little bit of information about the NPCs so that you can then build sort of a bond or a friendship between them so that when you do introduce them the very first time, they already sort of feel like they know them and that role-playing can happen more genuinely. You can also introduce the world by showing them, which is one of the biggest tips that I tell the dungeon masters that I help. The biggest thing that you can do is show the players rather than tell them, right? Because if you've been talking for 20 minutes, they start to tune out. Doesn't matter how good you are at voice acting, they are going to tune out. So make sure that you are painting the picture for them, but then also leave room to show them that picture. And what I mean by show them is instead of reading lines about how dark and gritty this post-apocalyptic world is that you've created, show them by having NPCs that are starving, people begging on the streets, dark and dreary skies, right? Show them that as they're going along in that first session. And in a way, it's introducing the world, but also introducing the tone, right? Like we talked about before, and also setting the pace and the rhythm for everything that's going to come in future sessions. By doing that, you're giving them everything they need to know in a way that is digestible and over the course of that first session, rather than all at once in the exposition. Now, piggybacking off of that, bringing your NPCs to life, right? NPCs are literally the lifeblood of your campaign. They are the players that they are interacting with. It's important that your NPCs stand out. So when you're crafting your NPCs, you want to make sure that they're memorable, that they're engaging, and that they are complete with their own unique personalities, that they have quirks and they have their own backgrounds, and that they're actually doing things when they're not talking to your players. They don't just T-pose. I say this all the time. They don't just T-pose when your players walk out of the room. What are they doing when your players are not around? NPCs are also a very valuable conduit for the main plot points, right? They can deliver the quests, they can start rumors, they can offer advice, they can help your players, and it makes them feel more engaged and invested in the world. So really dive into creating NPCs that feel separate. Not every NPC that your players run into needs to be this incredibly well-built machine with its own backstory, and they have their history, and oh, by the way, they were an adventurer, and they also lost a leg, but, you know, they have that magic sword that's behind the tavern or whatever. It doesn't need to be that deep, but the important NPCs should. So definitely take your time and think about who and what they are, and where they've been and what their history is. The fourth thing you want to do to really make that first session stick is to encourage roleplay. Role-playing is a vital component of any D&D campaign. Weird, right? The world's greatest role-playing game requires role-playing. It is important that you incorporate it from the very beginning. If this is your guys' first campaign, especially if you're a brand new dungeon master, and especially if the players are brand new to the game, you want to encourage and create opportunities for your players to interact meaningfully with each other, but also NPCs. You can use NPCs to prompt role-playing. For example, having them ask players about their character's backstory or motivations. If your player is missing a limb, or if your player has a crazy magical item, or if they have a unique distinguishing feature that is easily visible, then have an NPC react to them. Very easily, just like, hey, what's with your arm? Just give them something like that so that they can respond to, and that breaks the ice, because as soon as you get the ball rolling, people will start role-playing with each other, and, the giggles and all of that will come, but it will start to dissipate the more sessions you have. So encourage role-playing, even if it's awkward at the beginning. It will go away. Using props or visual aids can also help set the scene. So if your benefactor is giving your players a quest and you give them a parchment that you have created that is, coffee stained and burnt at the edges and made to look or feel like it's old, and you hand that to them, that is going to help with the role-playing a lot. In the same way that an escape room helps people feel that energy and that dire circumstance that we need to get out, right? Escape rooms are all about creating the story around you, and in that same manner, role-playing and being at the table and having things that you can hand to your players also sets that same mood. If your game is online, then create some quick PDF documents, right? There's plenty of tools out there that you can use to create visual aids for them to look at. Look, this is what your magic item looks like. This is what the city looks like. You can use so many tools to help sell that world to them, even if it's not an in-person game. So definitely encourage role-playing. And if you can't encourage the role-playing, or you see that there's a little bit of a barrier there, you can get past that by using visual aids or by asking them questions and prompting them to begin that role-playing. Once you break that barrier, everything changes. And the very last tip that I can give you to make sure that that first session is absolutely memorable is to end with a cliffhanger. Aim to end the intro session on a strong note. Know exactly where that session is going to go. A cliffhanger, such as a major plot twist or an imminent encounter or a surprising revelation or a bad guy that shows up at the end, can be a super effective tool to make sure that your players are excited and looking forward to that next session. It helps build that anticipation and momentum for the rest of the campaign. And let me tell you from my personal experience, it doesn't need to be this crazy elaborate cliffhanger. Just having something for them to go, oh shit, is enough to get them anticipating that next campaign and wanting that next session, whether it's a week or a month or whatever. Cliffhangers can do so much for your story and can also just make it feel like you knew exactly what was happening, even if you didn't. So there you have it, 5 key tips for creating a super dynamic and engaging introductory session. Use these tips, you will be so much more equipped and better prepared to create a super exciting and immersive first session that is going to leave your players eager for more. So leave your own tips in the comments down below if you think you have tips for a great introductory session. Thank you so much for watching. Forge on, my friends, and we'll see you next time, adventurers.